like this for a video. So today I am making my POTS journey video. So my POTS story basically goes as is. When I was little, I was diagnosed with attention deficit and I was put on medications that are stimulants and that may cause higher blood pressure. And I was on those a lot. From about age 7 to about age 16. When I was little, I also had these things called blue spells, which my vision would turn blue and I would lose the ability to control my muscles and everything would feel numb and tingly, and I would basically have to catch myself on whatever was available next to me. I would continuously tell my doctors that this was happening and it was really scary, and they really didn't do anything about it. They didn't really process it or care about it. Anyways, so as I got older, I ended up having fainting spells, and these were usually due to changes in posture or standing too long. When I became a senior in high school, I started fainting more often, so I had about 5 or 6 fainting spells in the span of a few months, and that was concerning. So we got a referral to see the neurologist, which was hard because my pediatrician basically was like, there's nothing wrong with you, you don't need a referral. Well, she did it anyways, and we did an MRI. So they did an EEG and they decided that I wasn't having any like tremors or seizures or anything like that. And the last visit I had with that neurologist, I asked if any of my problems could be cardiac related. And this was January of 2018. Also during this time, I was having more blue spells, I was falling more often, and things were getting a lot scarier. So by the time we had expelled all our options with neurology, it was January 2018. But then, one day, I was started on a new psychiatric medication called Fitsema, and within the first 2 or 3 days of taking it, I started feeling like I had the flu, I had the chills, I felt really sick, I was vomiting, I just was not feeling good at all, and my heart rate was elevated, and I just did not feel good. So I went into urgent care, and they asked me to put on a mask, and I wore this mask, and I was a little hyperventilating, but I wasn't trying to, I wasn't anxious or anything. But we went back, and we sat down, and they put me up to the monitor, and they were like, hold on a minute, and they went and grabbed someone else, and they both looked at it, and they're like, your heart rate's 140, and we aren't comfortable with you being in urgent care with it that high, so you're gonna go to the hospital. That's where my anxiety probably kicked in, because I was like, ooh. Basically, we ended up in the hospital, where I laid in bed trying not to watch the monitor, but couldn't help it because I was curious about what was going on around me. My heart rate was anywhere from 120 to 180 just from laying in bed, and when they tried to get me up to try to discharge me, it ended up going from 140 to 160, and they were like, okay, lay back down, lay back down, lay back down. So me and the emergency doctor had a conversation about when I was being discharged. He pulled me aside and said, hey, you know, this might be this condition called POTS, you might want to look into it. So I looked into it. Within the next few days, I saw an electrophysiologist through the healthcare system I was a part of, where my pediatrician was. I saw them, and then they were a little farther, the electrophysiologist was a little farther away, but I only saw him once, and then I ended up seeing one closer to my house, but not that close. And this I'm going to refer to as Dr. D, was kind of like, I see there's an issue, but like, I don't know what it is, but I think you should like clench your fists and clench your buttocks and twist your legs and like raise your blood pressure and I was like, what? We did do all the checking. We did an echo, we did EKG and EEG, or EKG, ECG. We did all the heart tests, and everything turned out fine. And then we did a tilt. This tilt was probably like the worst thing you could probably hear of. I'm gonna go through this really briefly because I would like to make a separate video about my tilt and expose another ethically wrong diagnostic story. Those are fun. So this tilt basically was, I denied the medicine that's supposed to make your heart race, and I was honest with them, and they basically said, it's suggestive of POTS, but we're not gonna like diagnose you with anything. So that was fun because I had a slight diagnosis, and my diagnosis really is, hey doc, do I have POTS? Sure. And that was it. He basically said sure and walked away, and that was the last real conversation I had with him. I was put on cortisone, and they just monitored me throughout the next couple visits, and they were like, do the clenching. And Doc MD, please explain yourself, because you explained a little more than I can mentally process.
Okay, so looking at her tilt table test, which I have folded up a couple times, basically what happened is her heart rate spiked, yes, however her blood pressure did not drop like you would normally see in POTS. Her blood pressure spiked. So she has problems with high blood pressure, whereas I with EDS have problems with low blood pressure. So compression garments help her. They help her to keep it regulated, but
I don't have enough water in my body.
She doesn't have enough water in her body, and the high blood pressure problems are part of the reason why she gets dizzy.
Thank you, MD. So yeah. Basically, I kept going to visits, and they kept saying everything's fine and just do the clenching things, and I did the clenching things, and I was like, this shit ain't working. And I realized this was now around that, fall 2018, I looked into getting an autonomic specialist. I basically left Dr. D, who was like, sure, yeah. And I went to go see a different doctor at the new healthcare system that I went to the healthcare system I'm currently at. This doctor is very honest with me, and sometimes I get it, and sometimes I get really frustrated by it. It can be really frustrating for me, just because sometimes I don't feel like he's hearing me out, but it's okay. I started seeing him, and he diagnosed me as having POTS-like symptoms, which again is just based on my tilt results, because of how unsure the writing is. I've definitely asked them to do another tilt and another full autonomic panel, but they have declined to do so. I know they have a lot of people on their list, which could be part of it, but I think the other part of it is they're like, well, you already had a tilt, and why do it again? Which can be really frustrating for me, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, POTS-like, then you don't have POTS, and, well, I'm treated as if I have POTS, which, the reason why that tilt table was so weird was because I was exactly this many beats off, zoom into it, Brielle, this many beats off, this many from being diagnosed with POTS. One single beat of my heart. That's frustrating. So I'm POTS-like. It's something I have to process. This doctor also hasn't really been supportive of the fact that I have major flare-ups, and he doesn't really get how I'm experiencing my illness. And it seems more and more that I try to reach out, the more the doctor and his staff get really frustrated with me. This is the doctor that has written my ambulatory wheelchair paperwork and the one that's done the parking placard. Thanks to the life-saving efforts of Brielle. If you're looking to get diagnosed with POTS, don't do what I did. Don't go the way I went. No, don't.
What do you recommend?
Go to a bigger healthcare system. Now, if you live in like a small town, go out to like the bigger systems because they know what they're doing. I made the mistake of thinking that the place that I went to was big enough, and it wasn't. And even at this point, the current healthcare system is proving that they don't have the necessarily have the skills to be able to treat my condition, which is why we are currently looking at. I'm gonna make a video about me switching some of my doctors. I am gonna end up switching some of my specifically my pain right now. As of right now, September of 2020, I am gonna be looking at switching my pain management doctor to an autonomic pain management doctor. So that's pretty much it in terms of the diagnostic. If you need help, if you're in a situation where you think you have POTS or some kind of similar condition, or any of the ones that I've talked about and you need to get diagnosed, please reach out or comment, because it was definitely a very hard, painful journey, and I don't necessarily want to see other people go through it alone, and I'm glad to help, and if I don't know the answer, I will find someone who does. Or I'll just like send you over to Brielle because she just knows everything.
I don't know everything. I've been a lot luckier in my search because at my healthcare system there's doctors who specialize in my condition.
Which is why I'm switching one of my doctors to hers.
Right. Maybe.
Right? I mean, if I answer that question enough, then they would, right? Isn't that what the place is for?
I don't know.
Who knows? Okay. Alright, well, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like our content, and we'll see you guys. I'm basically gonna be like, I'm gonna go for my first appointment, they're gonna be like, did you fall? And I'm like, all the time. And then